After all the tomfoolery at the start of the season, Red Bull and Mercedes are back to butting heads. Christian Horner, the team principal over at Red Bull, didn't hold back in telling Toto Wolff over at Mercedes to focus on fixing his own team's issues, instead of trying to steal Max Verstappen from Red Bull. Let's hear the heated words thrown both ways in today's video. Max Verstappen, as expected, took over the Chinese Grand Prix, cruising to victory from pole position. It's his 4th win out of 5 races this season, keeping him on track for his 4th World Championship. His performance was so impressive that he was often lapping nearly a second faster than anyone else on the track. Mercedes has faced challenges since the 2022 regulation shift, as seen with Lewis Hamilton finishing 9th and George Russell in 6th place at the Chinese Grand Prix. Toto Wolff hasn't hidden his desire to recruit Max Verstappen, who's tied to Red Bull until 2028 for Mercedes. This move would come as Lewis Hamilton prepares to join Ferrari next season. Following the Shanghai victory, Horner straightforwardly emphasised that Wolff should focus on fixing his own team's issues. He reiterated that Verstappen wasn't going anywhere and that there was no compelling reason for him to consider leaving Red Bull. "I don't think Toto's problems are his drivers," Horner said. "He has other elements he needs to focus on rather than focusing on drivers that are unavailable. Mercedes are behind their customer teams at the moment. His time would be better spent focusing on the team than the driver market. Sometimes it is just designed to create noise. I've got to think carefully what I say here. I can assure you that there is no ambiguity as to where Max Verstappen will be next year. I don't know how many more times Max can say he is staying. Today we moved ahead of Mercedes in terms of races won in the modern era. So, the team is in form. Why on earth would you want to leave?" While Verstappen is under contract, he hasn't definitively ruled out a move, particularly noting his desire for a quiet and peaceful environment when questioned about his future with Red Bull before the race. This comment might have been a subtle reference to the controversy surrounding the team earlier in the season, when Horner faced accusations of inappropriate behaviour from a female Red Bull employee. The public attention surrounding the situation has caused rifts within the team. Verstappen's father, Jos, openly questioned Horner's leadership, and there have been inquiries into the role of Red Bull Motorsport advisor Helmut Marko, a close ally of the Verstappens. The internal inquiry dismissed the grievance, but it's currently under appeal and could potentially escalate to an employment tribunal. Additionally, concerns have been raised about the effectiveness of Red Bull's engine slated for the 2026 season. Mercedes chief Toto Wolff suggests that Max Verstappen might consider leaving Red Bull before his contract ends, citing factors beyond just having the fastest car. Wolff openly expresses interest in Verstappen and sees a chance that he could become available for a move. "There's so many factors that play a role for a driver joining," Wolff said. "Clearly, when you look at it from the most rational point of view, you can say, well, that's the quickest car in the hands of the quickest driver. But I don't think that this is the only reason you stay where you are. I think, let's say for simple minds, that might be the only reason why you stay in a car and that's it. Maybe there is more depth to all the people who consider all the factors too, and I think Max has depth. In that respect, are we going to convince him? I don't think it's a matter of convincing. I think Max knows motor racing better than anyone, and he will take decisions that he feels are good for him, and I think a few factors play a role, but he's the one that's going to trigger some more domino stones to fall afterwards. But everybody's waiting for what he's going to be doing. If I was Max, I would stay at Red Bull for 2025, but I'm not Max. It is the quickest car, but there are other factors." While the Christian Horner story has generated fewer headlines recently, Verstappen's recent comments about needing a peaceful environment at the team when asked about his future beyond 2024 suggest that tensions may still linger. "After 2021, I signed a long deal with the team, and the only thing that I always said from the beginning is that we want to have a quiet and peaceful environment," he said. "Lately, we have been talking about the car, so I am very happy about that we are talking about the performance of the car. That's how it should be, of course, and as long as I am happy with the team, there has never been a reason to leave." Sergio Perez expressed disappointment at missing out on securing a 1-2 finish for Red Bull in the Chinese Grand Prix. Despite starting well, Perez lost positions during the safety car periods and ended up finishing in 3rd place. The race was challenging for Perez, as he was overtaken by Fernando Alonso early on and had to regain his position. But he lost out again due to a virtual safety car turning into a full safety car following Valtteri Bottas's mechanical issue. When Lando Norris and Charles Leclerc moved ahead of him, Perez found himself in a challenging position. He engaged in a tough battle with the Ferrari before managing to overtake on lap 39, securing the final podium spot. When asked if strategy had played a role in his challenges during the race, Perez responded by saying, "Yeah, it really cost us quite a bit. Unfortunately, with the safety car, we lost 2 places. We did most of the race on the hard tyre. Once you're fighting like that in the early laps, then the life of the tyres just goes off dramatically. At least we managed to get onto the podium, but it would have been good to be 1 and 2. In addition to facing difficulties during the safety car periods, Perez admitted that his race pace didn't meet his expectations. I think we were definitely lacking some pace, especially on the medium compound. We did struggle quite a bit with the balance, he explained. We changed a lot from yesterday to today, so I think we didn't read the conditions as perfectly as we could, but overall I think it was a strong weekend and we understand the reasons why today the race pace was a little bit down. Perez remains optimistic about his performance at the upcoming Miami Grand Prix from May 3 to 5, believing he can give Max Verstappen a tougher competition. When asked if he would continue pushing for a win in the next race weekend, the 34-year-old said, "Yeah, that will be the target." Sergio Perez is enjoying a significantly improved campaign this year, bringing joy to the entire Red Bull team. Christian Horner, the team principal, has expressed great satisfaction with Perez's performances and has been vocal about it. In a show of support, Horner is now defending Perez against media personnel and experts. While talking to Sky Sports, he said, "You Perez tend to write him off. He is doing great and started the season with a different mindset. Checo is relaxed, drives well, and does not focus on his teammate." Experts have been critical of Perez, often comparing his performances to those of his 3-time world champion teammate, Max Verstappen. The significant gap in their statistics has led to speculation about Perez's future in Formula One, facing growing uncertainty. These discussions gained traction last season when Perez struggled mid-season, almost losing his P2 spot in the Drivers' Championship to Lewis Hamilton. Sergio Perez demonstrated an elite mindset after a mid-season slump, bouncing back to his best form. The 34-year-old has regained his podium presence this season, finishing in the top 3 4 times in the first 5 races. Despite his strong performances, luck hasn't been on his side as he remains without a contract for 2025. Red Bull's dissatisfaction with Perez's performance in 2023 led them to delay contract talks with him at that time. This season has opened up exciting possibilities for teams as many drivers' contracts expire. While Sergio Perez's future remains uncertain, he has received praise from one of his previous critics, Helmut Marko. But Marko has emphasised that he wouldn't recommend extending Perez's contract by more than a year for Red Bull. The Formula One silly season, typically starting mid-season, kicked off early in 2024. Sergio Perez is optimistic, even hopeful, about reaching a contract extension agreement with Red Bull Racing soon. Helmut Marko agrees that if Perez continues his impressive form, there's no reason not to extend his contract. But one requirement seems to be a hurdle in finalising the deal. Both Helmut Marko and Red Bull's Christian Horner have acknowledged that Sergio Perez is performing at the level needed for a contract extension. But they haven't reached an agreement on the contract's length. Perez is aiming for a 2-year extension, but Red Bull appears hesitant about committing to that duration. "I think it's very logical for my next contract to last at least 2 years because the rules change drastically in 2026. I think it makes no sense for a team nowadays to contract a driver for 1 year and then leave the door open, right? Especially next year, there will be a lot of development during the year, so it is important to be part of a long-term project," Perez told ESPN's Mexican branch. Helmut Marko has noted that Sergio Perez is having his strongest season at Red Bull to date. He also mentioned that Perez might be fueled by the uncertainty surrounding his future in Formula One. Marko currently sees Perez as the top contender for the seat alongside Max Verstappen in 2025, as long as he continues to perform at his current level. He reveals that when asked about the conditions Sergio Perez sets for a new contract, one specific demand stands out. As long as Checo is in such good form as he is now and he comes up with reasonable conditions for an extension, there is really nothing against him. His demands are mainly about the length of the contract. Ahead of the Chinese Grand Prix, Helmut Marko mentioned that Red Bull was in discussions with Carlos Sainz, who is expected to be replaced by Lewis Hamilton at Ferrari in 2025. However, he noted that Red Bull couldn't match Audi's offer. Marko also mentioned that Sainz felt disappointed when Red Bull chose Max Verstappen over him. In response, Christian Horner labelled these statements as inappropriate and pure speculation. In your opinion, does Sergio Perez deserve another Red Bull contract? Tell us in the comments section down below, and as always, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Thanks for watching.